Hey, I'm Allison, and I want to tell you the story of how I stopped being lazy, lost 400 pounds, and found the man of my dreams. It all started when I was 16. I was so overweight that I couldn't go to high school anymore. Walking was just too exhausting for me. So instead, I stayed at home and ate food all day. My mom was the complete opposite of me, drop-dead gorgeous and in perfect shape. Her only flaw was that she couldn't say no to me. So whenever I told her to bring me food, she did it. I normally ate 3 Big Mac menus for breakfast, and then another 7 Big Mac menus over the rest of the day. That's why I gained 4 to 8 pounds per week. I hated myself so much, I was about to give up on life. But then something crazy happened. One of my old classmates contacted me on Facebook and we started chatting. But it was more than that. We were actually flirting. He said I looked gorgeous, and he'd love to meet up with me. Of course, I struggled to believe that a guy as handsome as him was interested in me. But I knew that some guys like big girls. So I went along and invited him over to my place. But when I opened the door to greet him, he wasn't alone. He had 2 friends with him and he was filming on his smartphone. I had no idea what was going on. But then he bursted out laughing and said to his smartphone, "Oh my God, you won't believe what just happened. Fat Allison really thought I wanted to go on a date with her. Ugh, does she really think she's in my league?" Fat Allison really thought I wanted to go on a date with her. Ugh, does she really think she's in my league? I immediately slammed the door and started crying. I weighed 600 pounds and I had never felt worse in my life. That's why I did something quite dramatic and dangerous. I locked myself into my bathroom and told my mom I wouldn't come out until I lost 200 pounds. So for the next few months, all I did was drink tap water and lay on the ground. I had a shower right next to me, but I was too fat to use it, so after 2 weeks, I smelled terrible. But for the first time in my life, I didn't give up. Even though my mom begged me to come out, she said it was too dangerous and I had to eat something. It took me 150 days inside the bathroom to achieve my goal of losing 200 pounds. But once it was over, I didn't just go back to eating Big Macs. I immediately went to a gym, and it was humiliating. While all those people were in such great shape, I was still weighing 400 pounds. But then a super handsome trainer came over to me and said, "Hey, I'm Ty. Are you new here?" Wow, I couldn't believe that this super handsome guy was talking to me. I said, "Yeah, I want to lose some weight." Then he told me to go on the treadmill for 30 minutes. Afterward, he came back to me and said, "Hey, I want to make sure that you will reach your goal and achieve your dream body. So if you ever need any help, just call me." Then he gave me his business card with his name and phone number on it. I know it sounds stupid, but I immediately had a huge crush on Ty. I knew he was out of my league. I know it sounds stupid, but I immediately had a huge crush on Ty. I knew he was out of my league, but what if I became thin? Would he be interested in me? Well, I needed to find it out, so I started going to that gym every single day. Everything was going well until I met my old classmate again, the one who had pretended to like me. When he saw me, he said, "Oh wow, you've lost some pounds, but why do you look even worse now?" And then he started laughing again. I know I shouldn't have cared about his words, but within seconds, he destroyed my whole self-confidence. And for the first time in more than a year, I bought a big bucket of ice cream and ate it within a few minutes. I felt like such a loser and decided to text my fitness trainer, Ty. I wrote, "It's me, Allison, from the gym. I'll give up. I'll just eat ice cream until I die of a heart attack." I immediately regretted my text to him, but after 5 minutes he responded, "Hey Allison, don't worry. Just give me your address and I'll come by at your home to support you. Everyone needs support sometimes." Wow. I gave him my address and he literally took a 2-hour drive through our city just to come by and support me. When I opened the door, he gave me a big hug and told me to not worry anymore. Then we spent 2 hours laughing and talking to each other. Knowing that Ty cared about me gave me the strength to continue my healthy diet of not eating more than 1,000 calories per day. And then it took me another 18 months to achieve my dream weight of 120 pounds. I was incredibly proud of myself. But I still had lots of excess skin from all the weight I'd lost. So I had to get skin removal surgery. Afterward, I looked amazing. I mean, I wasn't the most beautiful girl in the world, but after all my training, I had an amazing ass and an overall great shape. When I went to the gym the next day, they threw me a small party and everyone congratulated me. Of course, Ty also came up to me and told me how impressed he was by my transformation, but all I wanted to know was if he found me attractive or not. Well, he didn't ask me out on a date that day, but I kept waiting for many weeks. Finally, I had enough and did it myself. I asked him if he wanted to go watch a movie with me. When he said yes, I didn't know if he knew it was a date, but then during the movie, I asked him if he liked me, and he said yes. So I just kissed him, and now we're a couple. He's the first boyfriend I ever had, and I hope we'll stay together for the rest of our lives. Classmate Peter didn't fit in. He was weak, introverted, and poor, often wearing the same dirty shirt for days. But there was something about his eyes. They were sharp and clear. Even when his classmates beat him up and left his body covered in bruises, you could tell by his eyes that he wasn't hurt. He also didn't participate in class unless the teacher asked him to. Then he would stand up, give the correct answer, and sit down again. It was during summer break when I saw Peter lying on a field. I lied down next to him and asked how he was. He responded, "I'm great. It's just a beautiful day." And I stayed with him until sunset. "Don't you want to go home?" "I don't think my family wants me." "You can't stay here through the night. Why don't you come sleep at my home?" "Wow, thank you. That would be awesome." I brought him home, but my mom wasn't happy. She said, "Why did you bring this bum here? Look how dirty he is." Well, I made Peter take a shower, and then I gave him my blanket so he could sleep on my floor. But by the next morning, he was already gone. I didn't see him again until school started, and right during the first break, the other boys wanted to beat him up. But I went in between and told them to stop. "Leave him alone. He might be different, but that doesn't allow you to hurt him." "Good luck defending him, little girl." The boy pushed me away so he could attack Peter, but that's when I started screaming as loud as I could. I wasn't hurt, but I pretended I was. When a teacher arrived, I said, "He smashed my head on the ground." "She's lying. Don't believe her." "Seems like we have to call your parents into school again." "But I didn't do anything." "So you want to tell me that this poor girl is lying?" The teacher took the boy by his ear and dragged him away. "Peter, to tell me that this poor girl is lying?" The teacher took the boy by his ear and dragged him away. Peter said, "Thank you, but I don't mind if they beat me up." "Don't act silly. You need some friends to defend you. By the way, you want to come pick strawberries with me in the afternoon?" "I would love to do that." Well, after we had filled 2 baskets of strawberries, we sat down under a tree. It was the first time I realized that Peter was actually quite handsome. I said, "Why are you so different?" And he responded, "I don't know." But I liked how he was different, so I cuddled myself against his shoulder. I felt comfortable with him because I knew he didn't judge me. And when it got dark, I asked, "Can I give you a kiss?" He nodded, and for a few seconds, I felt complete. Afterward, we became best friends, often walking through the fields and talking about our futures. I was surprised when one day he told me he wanted to move to the big city. He said school bored him and I should follow him. I said, "We're only 15, and my parents would never allow that." "If they want the best for you, they will." I don't think my parents would understand. He didn't respond, but the next day in school his chair was empty, so I went to his home. His mother opened the door and looked completely drunk. She screamed, "What do you want?" Is Peter here?" "No, but if you show me where he is, I'm going to give him a few slaps." Peter had run away and left me behind. I was lonely and often wondered if Peter and I would ever see each other again. I wasn't sure, but after I graduated high school, I moved to California to study law. It was different than what I had expected. I missed the beautiful fields and nature I had grown up with. And I also still thought about Peter. We'd only been together for 6 months when we were 15, but he was the only guy I'd ever loved. Of course, I had other guys interested in me in college, but I found them shallow and boring. But to stop feeling lonely, I started dating Michael. He was extremely ambitious and worked all day, which meant I didn't have to talk to him much. We had been together for 2 years when Peter called me on my phone. He asked if he could meet me at a cafe, and of course I said yes. Suddenly my hopes were up again. maybe we could get back together and be as happy as we were in high school. When I first saw him, it felt so right. I fell into his arms and hugged him for minutes. Of course, he was, as always, blunt and not interested in small talk. We sat down and he explained why he'd come to visit me. He said, "I wanted to thank you for how you protected me back in school. Growing up, I had no one who loved or cared about me, except you. Therefore, I brought you a gift." He handed me a check that read $300,000. I said, "No, I don't want your money. I want to know how you are and what you're doing." "Well, I'm mostly working and I'm good at it. Money doesn't mean much for me, so I brought you the check hoping it would make your life a bit easier." "Are you happy?" I asked, and he looked away saying, "I'm fine." "Do you have a girlfriend?" "No, I don't." For a moment, I was the happiest girl in the world. I was sure he had come to get back with me, but why wasn't he asking me out? Maybe he was too shy, so I said, "Do you still like me?" "Of course." "And have you ever thought about us two getting back together?" "I have thought about it, but I know it wouldn't work out." My heart crumbled and I asked, "Why not?" "You know I love you, and you know I would do anything for you, but I need a girl who is as smart as me and understands me. If I was with you, I would always feel lonely and only drag you down." You can imagine how much his words hurt, even though he didn't mean it in a bad way. He was just as blunt as always. I said, "Well, I want you to be happy too," but I couldn't hold back my tears. "Don't cry. You'll find a guy that makes you happy." Well, I didn't want to burden Peter any further, so I smiled and said, "Of course, I will find the right guy someday," even though I knew it was a lie. At the end, he said, "Just take the check." Then he stood up and left. Today, I'm still with Michael. He recently started talking about getting kids. He doesn't seem to notice how unhappy I am with him. Don't get me wrong, he's a great guy who treats me well, so I will give my best to make him happy.
I tried to call him, but he wasn't answering my calls. I used to see him everywhere, but now I couldn't find him anywhere. Oh, the irony. A few days later, Carson and I had an interview for our upcoming movie, and he was trying to hold my hand, but it felt really weird. Carson must have felt my sadness, and when we were asked if we were really dating, he said something really unexpected.
"Amanda and I are just friends. I really like her, and we tried it, but she likes someone else."
Suddenly, I felt brave. Yes, it's true. And to that person, I just want to say, you know who you are, and I really miss you. Wherever you are, please see me tonight. I'll be waiting for you at my favorite park. Everyone gasped at my revelation. Even I was surprised at my public announcement, but I had to follow my heart. Alice told me that my interview created a huge buzz online, and I was being appreciated for my honesty. And they couldn't wait to see my movie. You did the right thing, girl. Now go get him. I was so nervous as I waited for him at the park later that night, but even after hours, there was no sign of him. I'd almost given up when suddenly I saw him walking in the distance, and my heart leapt. I ran up to him and punched him in the stomach. I hate you. Do you know that?
I'm sorry.
Stop being cute and start explaining why you suddenly left.
I just thought you liked Carson, so that's why I quit.
It's you who I like, silly boy. But what can I do? You are not capable of loving anyone anyway.
I lied. That's not my weakness.
Then what is it?
It's you, Amanda. I've been a fan even before I met you. You're so beautiful and amazing, and it's driving me crazy because I'm just this poor boy and you're an unreachable star.
That was literally the sweetest thing that I had ever heard in my life. You're really cute.
No, you're cuter.
So are we just going to keep arguing about this, or are you going to kiss me? He answered me by grabbing my face and pressing his lips against mine. Finally, I got a kissing scene, and it was magical.